I called the Mount Carberry because I had to get some numbers together, which I said I was going to bring for the landfill, and so I talked to them about the I wanted to know about the mattresses, because you had mentioned that they just take the mattresses, and we have like 20 of them sitting in the transfer station right now. And she said, oh no, you're gonna have to get, if one or two would let slide, but they do charge for mattresses. And plus they get for asbestos they get $130 a ton. The tipping fee for the old contract, for the old one, which she said is going up, is $71.56, and I think it's already gone up, but she said it's going up again, and it'll be up over $80 a ton on the tipping fee.
Do we have any of this in writing?
No, I don't have it in writing. I just got it over the phone. And then what Casella has here, they have the MSW and CD for $55 a ton, and that's good until the year 6/30/27, which is good. Recycling, I know the recycling was a big concern about yours, but the recycling can go into the MSW because with what we're doing right now, the recycling we're doing, you say that it's not costing us anything, but it is, because they're gathering it, then we're paying it, we gotta pay Kyle to put it on a trailer, bring it to Littleton, so it's an additional $200-300. Whether, I don't know how often he goes, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever, but the saving is pretty, there's enough savings here to justify switching back to Casella to take over, because the other thing is that if we get the host agreement, then that will go away altogether, and it won't cost the town anything. So this is what I'm looking at, is to better benefit the town for finances, especially because of the disaster that happened already. We've got to save all the money that we can to make everything work.
I agree that it's good to save money, but I think we'd be short-sighted. And I could articulate this, but there was a excellent article in the Caledonian on June 29th about Littleton's thought process, because they're paying more to ship their waste to Carberry, and they had some good rationale. So I can either read the whole article, or I can read excerpts, and I can send the article, and it can be attached to our minutes. So this is Littleton seeking to shift. So Steve Bean is the Littleton transfer station manager. He proposed changing to the select board. And he said there are too many unknowns right now, he said. Bean's proposal comes after several local towns switched from Casella Waste Systems commercial landfill in Bethlehem to the municipally owned Mt Carberry Landfill run by the Androscoggin Valley Regional Refuse Disposal District. The NCES Landfill in Bethlehem is projected to reach capacity and close in January 2027. Casella is proposing a new commercial landfill in Dalton. We do have some time, but I'm not sure it's wise to use it, said Bean. Before, I was hoping to stay with Casella until we found out what was going on with Dalton, but that keeps dragging on and dragging on and dragging on. What I'm concerned about is all these other towns are going to jump ship and go to Carberry, and maybe there won't be room for us. Currently with Casella, Littleton pays a tipping fee of $80 per ton plus additional transportation fee of $548 for each load or trip, with the total varying by the tonnage, said Bean. So I'm wondering why they're offering us such a lower price. That
I wonder.
Doesn't make sense. Normando Trucking is based in Northumberland and owned by Barry Normando, and he's going to provide the transportation for Littleton. Normando attended the meeting and said Littleton is currently billed a number of fees, but there is only one fee at Carberry, regardless of what Littleton would bring in. Carberry hasn't raised its rates in 5 or 6 years, and when it bills, and this is Normando speaking, When it bills, the bill does not contain all these buried items and is instead one number, said Norman Doe. Norman Doe, who has been the longest Carberry hauler, now at 35 years, said Carberry has a cap on how much waste it takes annually. They are a municipal, not a commercial entity, he said. Sometimes they go 10 years and not even raise their rates. Usually it's very incremental, it's not onerous. The thing is, they run with a cap of how much tonnage they can take. And right now, they're looking at the foreseeable future, and you need to act on this very soon, because once they hit the cap, they can't take you. In response to a question asked by Littleton Selectman Roger Emerson about longevity, Norman Doe said Carberry has capacity for at least another 50 years. It's not like anything you've ever seen, he said. The place has paved roads. It's like a landfill on steroids. It sits on 2 to 4 feet of impermeable clay. If you had a nuclear hit there, it would leak, but it wouldn't go anywhere. All landfills leak at some point. Select Board members Linda McNeil and Carrie Harrington agreed with his comment that landfills will leak. It's extremely well run, said Norman Doe. Right now, roughly 87 to 80% of the trash at this end of the state I haul there, and there's a reason. Unlike commercial landfills, Carberry is headed up by a group of towns and doesn't have to run by the same rules, he said. It doesn't run where it's trying to make money, said Norman Doe. It's trying to run where it can cover its cost and be able to do things correctly without cutting themselves down to do it. There's nothing ever done incorrectly up there. It was engineered by a paper mill at the time, James River. They over-engineer everything. In addition, only a certified hauler can haul to Carberry, he said. Casella cannot haul there, Waste Management cannot haul there, said Norman Doe.
And they process the leachate there.
They do. In New Hampshire, there were only 3 public landfills, he said. This is the second largest, and this is the one that has the largest projected window by far. They operate differently. When all the bonds are paid off, they're going to start shrinking that concentric. So if you're in that concentric, you're golden. But every year, towns looking to join Carberry run up against the cap, he said. You need to really look into getting this done pretty quick, even if you don't execute it, because Colebrook had to wait one time, said Norman Doe. They had to wait 4 or 5 months to get out of their contract with Casella. Select Board member Linda McNeil said the best thing in her mind was to go with a different entity so Littleton is secure. Bean agreed and said it's the safest bet. For 3 years, people have asked him what the Littleton transfer station will do upon NCES's closure. We're still waiting for an answer because nothing's moving, he said. Norman Doe added that Carberry has inexpensive asbestos disposal. It is one of only 3 landfills in the region that can do it. And it has services to dispose of wastewater treatment plant sludge and has a very large capacity for sludge. Governor Chris Sununu also signed bills to clamp down on PFOASs and PFAS, and they will have a major impact, said Norman Doe. That landfill up there has a very robust system, at least for collecting that stuff, said Norman Doe. Now is the time to make the switch, even though it's going to cost a little bit more, so that we're covered down the road and we don't end up in 2027 with no place to haul our trash, said McNeil. If we go to Carberry, it doesn't mean we're locked in for life, said Select Board member Carrie Harrington. And so, what they're doing is, even though it's costing more money, they want to make sure they have a place to take their trash. That's why we moved to Carberry 5 years ago. At that point, it was more cost effective. Now it may not be. But Bethlehem's going to close by the beginning of 2027.
You
So
know,
that's
I'm putting this out as my opinion. You know why they talk about that? They talk Casella down all the time. Is because and this is my opinion, that a lot of facts haven't been put out there, and there's people attacking him, attacking a man that does care about the environment. They're making him look bad. I believe that he is on the up and up. I believe that, what he says, he is a man of integrity. Nobody's ever taken the time to meet him, and to talk to them,
I don't
and
know.
find out exactly, even going to the site and looking how they build these things. Even Carberry, they're not gonna be open forever. You know, that's gonna fill up and that's gonna stop.
In 50
So,
years.
It's, they're all gonna close down at some point.
Correct,
So-
but you've got a 50-year window at Carberry. You've got a little over a year in Bethlehem. And if
Yeah.
we move and then we don't have any, you know, right now at DES, the permitting process is still going along. So the response to the incomplete application determination was submitted, but I haven't heard anything that the application has been accepted as complete yet. So we don't know how long it's gonna take before they make a decision on the Granite State Landfill in Dalton. You know, there's a good chance that it won't be ready when Bethlehem closes, so then what are we gonna do?
And there's a good chance it could.
Okay, and if it does, then we can act accordingly.
Yeah, and I'm willing to take that risk because it's gonna be a savings for the town up to that point.
I don't think it's worth the
So-
risk, to be
So
honest.
I do make a motion that we switch back to Casella, and let me add one more thing here too. I called Beatty, and Beatty's prices. I asked him what the price difference would be. He said the prices are going up, and he's going to be between $3 and $3.50 to travel here, but it's going to be between $4 and $4.50 to travel to Carberry. So that's another savings right there. And so I'm willing to take.
But we don't have all the information about, why would you want to, you made a statement that we could just put our recyclables in with our municipal solid waste. Why would we wanna do that?
Especially because Casella charges $55 a ton there, but recycling is $32 a ton. Of course they'll take it in municipal solid waste. It's an extra $23 a ton.
I'm not, you know, this is all this is all hearsay.
It's right here.
Even that reading there, it's
But it's from people who are in the business, and what Littleton did and what other communities have done is basically hedge their bets. So what we wouldn't want is to save money for a year and then have no place to send our trash for however long it takes to get the Granite State Landfill permitted and up and operational.
They close 2027 though, right?
I'm sorry?
Order. This is the select board. Yeah, it's 2.5 years, not 1. This is, you're the select board.
So at some point, you know, in a year or less, if we see that the Granite State Landfill is going to go forward and we're further along in the permitting process, then we can readdress this and make a different decision. But right now, I think it would be irresponsible to change.
I don't think so, because I did my own homework, and the thing about it is I tell people, do your own homework, because the Casella's landfill is not 300 feet above Forest Lake, it's 300 feet below Forest Lake. Water runs downhill. Whitefield got on board and complained that, oh, their water is up on the hill there, and it's gotta travel 600 feet to get uphill to get there. It doesn't work that way. Those are the points that I see. It's all about bashing Casella, and I'm sick of people bashing Casella for trying to do something good.
Okay, this is not about bashing Casella, this is about being pragmatic for the town, to make sure we have a place to send our trash. You know, for right now, we don't have a definitive time frame for the Granite State Landfill. So, until we know for sure, I don't think we should move from Carberry, because the thing we do know is that Bethlehem is gonna close by early in 2027 if they don't reach capacity sooner than that, which could be, you know, another, you know, you're talking about a year or two. And at that point, Carberry might not be able to accept us, because other towns are moving.
Just a question for my own knowledge. What what does the town get locked into time-wise if they go with Carberry?
I'm sorry, could you?
Time length of contract?
There's no locking in. There's no locking in.
The issue is that Carberry has a certain capacity each year.
No, I get that. My question was really directed around if there's no penalty, like we're not locked in for 5 years or 10 years. To me, it's just an opinion, it's smart to do that because you have the ability now to wait to see what happens with the Granite State Landfill. The other one, you know you're on a finite timeline.
To stay with Carberry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. That's why I wanted to just understand it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, I appreciate your input and everything, but with what I've found out on my own, that I don't believe that's the case at all. The case is that we need to stop harassing Casella for something he's not doing. PFAS, he's not created PFAS. We have created PFAS. It's in plastic. It's in your frying pans. It's your big industrials that created back in the 1940s, and it's a forever chemical. And Casella is creating for the runoff to go into tankers to be taken away, and they're trying to create, I believe, in my opinion, that they're trying to create a way to separate all that. And that's just my opinion because I don't know that for sure.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from, and I would like to see your research, if you could print that out for us so we could see that for our right to know, please. And then also, my husband has stated too, yes, if we get to the point where Casella is the best option in the future, then Casella is the best option in the future. However, at this moment, we don't have that option yet. And I think as a town, trying to project and save money in the long run, because we could possibly be paying through the nose if we're dropped and Casella doesn't have another place to go to. And that's what we need to think of, is the longevity. We're very short-minded with the Casella at the moment. And I'm not saying I care either way where we go, what happens in Dalton. That's up to the state. But we need to start thinking long-term and stop fighting. We need to look at what's best for the future. And right now, Carberry seems to be the best at the moment.
And answer your question, have it in writing. I went one-on-one with people.
You consistently go
So-
one-on-one without providing information, and that's getting very disturbing as a selectman.
Well,
And yeah, I'm losing confidence in your ability to act as a selectman.
I just, I'm hearing all what you say, and I think it's important. I also think I'm gonna echo, Mandy. If we're gathering information, and it is, it would be prudent that that information is verified and put in writing so that the town could reflect and look at that. That's just doing due diligence. And the other part of it is, I want to remind you that you can have your opinion and have personal opinions, but you represent a town and you represent me. So your personal opinion needs to be set aside so that we're looking at the good of the town versus personal opinions. That's your job as a select person, to represent a whole town, not yourself. I can respect your personal opinion. I think it's important. All of that information is important, but doing due diligence, verifying information is the appropriate thing to do. And then setting aside personal opinions and looking at who you're representing and understanding the job of representing a whole town versus your opinion.
have you gone to the open house to find out about?
I went to the open house over at Casella. Yes, I did.
Did you check it? Did you check all this stuff out?
I spoke to everyone. It has nothing to do with Casella right now. What it has to do with, and I think you're taking it very personal
No, I'm
for
not
whatever
taking it
reason.
personal.
But what we're talking about, or what you're talking about, is what's best for the town right now. And right now, we don't have a landfill in Dalton. We don't have the permitting process finished. Right now what we have is an issue that you're talking about projecting out into the future. And there's nothing wrong with sitting back and waiting for that, and in the meantime, making sure the town is taken care of before we move forward. If you're talking about Casella has integrity, and you believe in them, and that they're for community, then there is no rush here. Then when the permitting process is finished, Casella with their integrity and for community will come forward and sit with you and offer you the same host agreement that you want to sign right now, if they are of integrity like you're stating.
That's not a host agreement you're asking to sign,
No,
though.
it's not, no.
Okay, just clarify.
Pam?
By the time, when Casella finishes their permitting, they don't have to give you a host community agreement. They're just gonna come in.
But their integrity,
No,
you're
that's-
saying their integrity is there and they're community minded.
You know what? They're giving you 6 years so far to get this shit together and you're not. So, talk about dragging feet. Let's just sit back and wait another decade. No, you're not in the best interest of the town.
You have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh, yes, I do. Laugh if you want.
God bless you.
Where we at?
Maybe we suggest this is something that goes to town meeting, much like the $5 fee for road maintenance, so that the town can speak. So that the town can give their opinion.
What did we vote for a select board for? To make any choices, or is everything gonna go to town meeting?
I can't hear.
I said, why do we have a select board if everything has to go to town meeting?
Cause it's about the town.
I agree, but we voted them to run the town, not you.
I'm not running the town, despite what you think. I know you think that, Pam.
Take a vote.
Take a vote.
I also think that this commentary about the select board is important when you consider normal business. And this issue is, to me, seems outside of normal business. And that's what warrants more of this.
Could you speak up a little bit?
I'm sorry, I was just saying, when you talk about the select board, you know, voting on these things, it's really for normal business, and this just seems to be bigger than normal business. This was just my comment.
No, it's not.
So, back when you went, Casella used to be, we used to deliver there, is that correct?
We used to take our trash to Bethlehem, and back 5-6 years ago, Casella was saying that Granite State Landfill would be operational in a couple of years, but it was still going through the permitting process, and Bethlehem would be closing. And because we didn't know how long the permitting process was going to take, we felt like we should go to Carberry so that we get a spot in Carberry before Bethlehem closes. And, you know, at that point, it was a cost savings, but that was not the reason the select board decided it. It was really to make sure we had a place to send our trash when Bethlehem got full and closed.
So this happened in 2019 was when the switch was?
I think it was 2019 or 2020. I don't remember exactly.
So after the conflict with Casella starting their stuff here in Dalton.
After the what?
The conflict with Casella, like, cause I remember I wasn't involved in politics at all in the town until I went to a town meeting one night, and an emergency town meeting, and there was a vote to re-vote at the end of the vote, and things kind of got flipped around there, and we all of a sudden had zoning the next morning. So that was the first I was, that I had any real knowledge of anything going on in the town. I did know about some things, but I wasn't really involved in it. But I just wanted to know, it seemed like that was about the same time that it was about Casella.
I don't remember the
The
timing,
zoning was about Casella.
but there was a plan for the landfill.
Well, I was
so
just
that's-
gonna go back and
yeah.
check the records to see where that was, that's all, so I just was
Yeah, I
trying to
mean,
tie it
I
down so
don't
I could
remember
look
in
at it.
terms of the
Yeah.
emergency temporary zoning when it was,
Yeah,
but it was looking forward when Bethlehem was closing and not knowing when or if the Granite State Landfill would be operational and wanting to make sure we had a place to send our trash.
okay,
And at that time, it was cost efficient even with the heavy trucking. That's, you know, with this proposal it's changed,
Right, things
but I
have
still
changed a
think
lot.
the rationale is
Yep.
solid. And if we stay with Carberry now, it doesn't mean we can't change at a later point.
do you know if we had Casella for a long period of time prior to the switch to Carberry? Or was that kind of a temporary stop, Casella?
I'm sorry?
Prior to switching to Carberry, do you know if we had Casella for a long period of time?
I don't know how long. I don't have that
Yeah.
information.
Well, I feel there's a lot of this, different towns, like what you just read, and all, it's all happening because of the attacks on them, and I don't agree with it. I believe it's going to happen, it's gonna take place, and, I still wanna move on this, so I make a motion that we move.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay. And I have to again say, I think it's irresponsible.
So, I've already reached out to both Casella and Carberry to come in and talk about their proposals, like was agreed upon 2 weeks ago. And now all of a sudden, you've made some phone calls and decided that we need to make the change now.
So we
So-
just call them back, or I'll call them back, don't matter.
Oh no, you've done enough calling, I'll call them.
Why are we, changing? We had a, plan to have a discussion and then all of a sudden we're changing. It doesn't make sense.
We've already
And
voted on it though.
Because the thing is, the thing about it is, it's apples for apples. What are they gonna come in and say, oh yeah, this is what we got, when we already know it? That was my
well,
thought.
we talked about putting our question forward and getting it in writing from both of them so that the board could see it in writing from both of them, but you didn't want to get it in writing, so that's why we're having them come in. I wish that my fellow board members would listen to the people in the audience who gave some good, thoughtful comments and looked at the long-term situation for the town. It has nothing to do with whether we like Casella or don't, or think the Granite State Landfill is gonna happen or not. It's just a matter of timing, and now we have a place to take our trash. We know that Bethlehem is closing, that's the one thing that we know. So, it could close and Granite State Landfill could open right at the same time, or it might be 5 years down the road before the permitting and everything is done, and then what are we gonna do with our trash? If Carberry is already full because other towns have gone there, what are we gonna do?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe changing trash carriers or trash places was a town meeting decision. I believe you select board did it.
I'm not saying town meeting, I'm just
Well,
talking about my,
others are.
to my fellow select board members,
Move it on.
You got anything else?
I make a motion that we rescind that last motion and stay with Carberry until we have a better sense of what's gonna happen with the Granite State Landfill.
Did you already call them and they both agreed to come in?
Yeah, I already contacted them.
And Carberry said that they're all lined up as well?
She asked me to give her a call because she had questions as to why we were asking her to come in, but she didn't say they wouldn't come in. And Casella said that they would come in, but we could also just send them their questions and they're happy to answer them that way as well.
Do you have a date for them to come in?
Well, Casella requested Veterans Day, which is a holiday, so I'll have to see if there's a different day that they could come in. What?
I said ouch.
I guess I would just like to urge the select board to make sure you have solid numbers from both sides, or from both companies, before you make a decision. Not just, I mean, Tom, I appreciate your phone call, but it needs to be in writing.
When's our next meeting?
In 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
The 28th of October?
Any more public comment?
So we,
I'm thinking.
Eric, since you asked, we'll give Tom an extra minute to think here.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough, back to what my wife's comments were. I personally, I'm not for or against Casella with the Granite State Landfill. I'm really not. How that lands is how it lands. I am against this motion that has been made and passed because I think it is too short-sighted and puts the town in jeopardy. That's what I'm against. Not a landfill coming to Dalton. So I just want to share that, Tom, as you think on it.
No, and I appreciate that. And it does look like it, I know. But the paperwork you want is right, it's all right here, from Carberry and from Casella.
No, it's not
And-
about paperwork. It's
No, but
2 years or 50 years.
Yeah.
And the risk that goes with both. That's all it is.
The thing about it, the thing that you need to look at as well is that the attacks that come down on him to make him look like he is making it look
I'm
like.
not attacking him.
No, I'm not saying that you are.
Yeah.
And I'm not a politician, so you're not gonna get pretty words.
Me neither. Me neither.
But that's the point of people going and trying to and cutting a person down, not knowing them. You know, it's just like you say here, we don't know. Well, people are out there cutting them down. They don't know. Why are you cutting that man down when you don't know? When you don't have all the answers? It goes both ways. You know what I'm trying to say? I agree with what you're saying.
then
You know?
let's act on it, cause there's
But
nothing
I,
to do with
But
what
the
you
problem,
like
the
Casella
problem
not.
is what the whole problem is. You're saying cut the fighting. Well, you know what? Ever since we've been on this board, there's been many times that you had the group come in to attack us. No matter what we do, ain't right. You're I'm not getting. I don't know what words to put in there, but you know as well as I do that that's what's been happening. So you know you're working under pressure, trying to figure out what's right, what's wrong. You know, you got your opinion, I got my opinion. Eric's got his opinion. And then you got the town's opinion. and that's all right. But you know what? Do we work together? No, we don't work together. We haven't worked together ever since I came on this board. And I'm sorry if you don't see that, but that's the way it's been. And I shouldn't even be apologizing, but type of guy I am.
Well, I didn't
But-
see that as an apology, but.
But that's just what happens here, and you know as well as I do that's what's happening here. So I mean, if you want this to calm down and you want to be able to talk things out, then I suggest that the whole board start saying, okay, let's look at this whole thing and stop getting interjection. We are the board that were hired, that were elected from the town, and not getting constant interruptions. I'm not saying that her opinion don't mean nothing, because it does mean a lot. But when we ask for it, or when we're talking about something, you know, I may be saying something and you don't agree, that's okay. So we talk back and forth. We're not, you know.
But there are things that I've said we need to go through this and talk about, and you just move forward without giving me the opportunity to do that. So, you know, it works both ways, Tom.
And I get completely
Yeah.
left out of things. So it does go both ways. I've reached out to both
See what I mean?
Tom. You know what?
No matter
No.
what I say is wrong.
I've reached out to both you and Eric since you've been board members. I've reached out to you multiple times. If you need something, let me know. If you want something, let me know. If you don't understand, let me know. I send out emails, I send out information. I never hear back from anybody. That's telling me that you understand what I send you. But if you're gonna sit here and make a statement that it's factual, it's my job to correct that. Because if you say something and it is not a fact, then I am obligated to correct that. Because otherwise they're believing what you're saying, which may not be correct. And I really don't need to be asked for my opinion, because it is my job, just like your job, to try and do what's best for the town. And you don't always see it the way I see it, and I don't see it the way you see it, and you're entitled to your opinion. But one of the very first conversations we had when you were elected, Tom, was that personal opinion shouldn't be at the table. It should be all factual. It's a business. It should be all factual. So I understand people beat up Casella, fine, people beat up me. It doesn't mean that you're gonna give me a contract for something. It's factual, and it's gotta be based on fact. We can have sympathy and empathy for Mr. Casella, but like Mike has said multiple times, it's not up to us whether that landfill comes here. It's up to the state.
That's right.
But we also have to have certain criteria and certain information in place in order to make sure that we do ask for what we are due. Don't undervalue the town. We do want what's best for the town, but we also need to make sure that it's done in the appropriate time. And I'm not saying don't talk about I'm not saying don't talk at all about the host community things, but you know what? The select board hasn't even discussed it. So we're just gonna send it to the attorney and have the attorney make the decision for us?
He's not given a decision, he's given us direction.
The direction is to look at it, to
Yeah.
comprehend it, and to start talking about it.
That's right.
I don't understand why the attorney needs to tell you that.
I recall, I think, go ahead Pam real quick.
No, I was just
ma'am.
wondering why we're still here.
Oh,
Okay,
this has been tried to talk.
sorry, I just have one more comment to make. In regards to September 30th meeting, it was mentioned that you would get both Casella and Carberry. And that's what I was expecting to have happen, because that's what was in the meeting on the 30th.
Things change.
And I understand that, dear. I wasn't addressing you.
Correct.
And as a former moderator, you think you know how this works,
You're
right?
not now, right?
Well, we
Thank
shouldn't be
God.
bickering in the
So,
audience at all.
what I'm saying
One person is talking
Is that
now.
we had agreed on doing this, and you
Sorry,
didn't
Pam.
follow through with it, and I would like to see those numbers before a town jumps on it. It's not something that needs to be done at this meeting. Get the numbers, come back in 2 weeks, and let's see what happens with the numbers first. Solid numbers, not phone calls, not hearsay, from both sides. That's what your constituents deserve, a are the solid numbers.
Pam, I think you had something else to add.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute.
Quiet.
Point of order. You, Eric, are supposed to be running this meeting.
Yes.
Not people like us in the audience going, you know, Pam, you don't recognize each other, I don't recognize it. It's you, Eric, and you need to step up to the plate and do that.
Stop harassing the select board.
Wanna wait a couple weeks on that?
So I'm going to,
All you gotta do is second Joe Beth.
huh?
She already made a motion.
She did. All right. And you said that you've got those lined up already, Jeanette?
I've been in contact with both of them. Both of them reached out to me. Casella asked about Veterans Day, which is a holiday, so I'm gonna ask them to choose another day.
What day, what is it?
Roughly November 10th, isn't it? Right around there?
November 11th.
11th? Yeah. Somewhere, right in there, one of those
Monday,
days.
11th.
Well, can they both come in that day, back to back?
Well, no, because it's a holiday. We're not open. So.
No, I'm talking, you said that when our opens on the holidays, you can make it a different day.
I proposed that they both come in the same day before, but then you guys shot me
No,
down.
well, they could do it back to back. I'm just talking in the same room at the same time. That'd be kinda weird. You know,
I think we're all adults and
it
professionals.
doesn't matter. You talk to one and then you talk to the other.
You're getting it in writing, so they're just answering your
Yeah.
questions. But, yeah, I can schedule them both for the same day.
What's today, 15th, and
We're meeting on the
they
28th.
can't come sooner than 11.
I don't know. She threw out that number, she threw out that date. So I can try to coordinate them to come to the next meeting if that's what you're thinking.
I second your motion.
Okay, so the other motion is rescinded. Well,
Yeah.
are you gonna propose?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll see if they can both come on the 28th.
And I appreciate everybody's comments and whatnot, but I will tell you, I know that you want things written on paper. I'm not a politician, and I am, when I tell you something, I don't lie. I tell it like it is. Do I make mistakes in life? Yes, I do. We all do. But I try to do, anything I say, I try to make sure that it's 100% and not to mislead the public. And if you feel that I did that, you know, I apologize to the ones that think I did that, but that's not my intention, and I don't plan on doing it, because I taught my kids never to lie, and that's the way I live my life, so.
Mike?
This meeting you're gonna have between the two sanitation companies, is that to discuss prices of the, removal of the land, of the,
Yeah.
well, why can't they just issue you a piece of paper explaining what the prices are in regards to, removing this, the garbage? Isn't that's the idea of us getting a
Well,
better deal, right?
We can do that. I mean, it's gotta be an itemized right down to a T, but the question.
What I'm asking is, do they do that? Will they do that?
Well, sure, they probably would, but
Okay.
the other thing too is they got the questions on how long is Carberry gonna be open? When is Casella gonna be open?
It doesn't matter that, right now, we just wanna find out if there's a better deal. Obviously, my personal opinion about Casella's landfill in Dalton here is, that's gonna go in. There's no question about that.
Right.
Because the state is gonna give them, if they obey by the laws, they're gonna get that. They didn't spend millions of dollars to put that project up and throw money away.
Right.
Okay, so that's definitely gonna go in. So my only concern is, who is the best price? Who's gonna get this other construction place is gonna be, sanitation company's gonna be there 50 years. This place is opening up, what is it gonna be, who knows how many years it's gonna be open.
18.
But the idea is to get the best deal.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the concern of the people.
I think there are two ways of looking at it. One is the best deal right now, and the other is just making sure that we have a place to send our trash. Because what we don't know is, if Granite State Landfill goes in, we don't know when that's gonna open, but we do know that Bethlehem is nearing capacity. And so, and Carberry has a cap on how much they'll take every year. So to have our foot in the door at Carberry means we've got a place to send our trash, even if Bethlehem closes before the Granite State Landfill is permitted and operational. So that's where we're trying to look forward, you know, and make sure that we have a place to send our trash, or we're not looking at shipping it down to Rochester to Turnkey or something like that.
Well, if this sanitation company that you're gonna want to send it to now, we could stop that contract at any time, right?
In Cadbury?
Carberry?
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 Yeah,
You
so
start,
we-
and then we can go to Casella, right? Casella, if they open up a landfill in Dalton.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
yeah.
Yep.
But actually, it's just, all right, whatever, I'm just wondering about the monies.
Well, I did say last week, so I have to honor that, Pat, about talking with them.
Yeah,
And I would have been wrong in not following through with that. That's why I rescinded for this point. So they will come in, the questions will get asked, and then we will execute whatever we decide again.
I appreciate it.
Any non-publics, Jeanette?
Yes.
Two.
Make a motion that we go into non-public.
I'll second that.
Anything afterwards? Or is that it?
I don't
That's
have
it.
nothing.